Oh, hey guys! I'm playing Demon's Quest here. I just wanted to play some retro stuff. And you say you came here to watch a Swordfreak review. Well, I guess we can arrange that.
They call him the Swordfreak. Give him in a game with swordplay in it. He gonna play it all day long, then film it. Add some comments, criticism about the content in it. Plot and gimmicks, monsters, women, and what's most important, swords and physics. Lots of swinging, stabbing, cutting things, blood and gore and flying limbs, cutting meat, slicing cheese. Wait a sec, the fuck is this? Ain't no Gordon Ramsay hosting it. The Swordfreak series. Just come and see it.
You know what? There is a game that's both retro and some good slashing experience. Moonstone, A Hard Day's Night. Let's play that.
Moonstone is the game developed and released by Mindscape for Amiga in 1991 and MS-DOS a year later. It comes from the times when games were born from passion and people wore denim jackets, huge glasses, had hilarious hairstyles, and what the hell do I know about those times? I was like 3. So anyway, the first time I played Moonstone was in 2014, and even though it was 23 years old then, it totally blew me away, especially when it comes to the fighting system, but we'll get to that later. The first thing about this game that drew my attention are the loading times. Boy oh boy are they long. They take around 30% of the gameplay time, but it's understandable because it was released on multiple discs. After we start the game, we pick our character, or should I say pawn, because all we choose is the color of our knight and the game is actually kind of a board game. Right off the bat, we see the set board. It is divided into 4 parts and each of the world corners is a starting point for a player, be it a person or a computer opponent. So we start by moving our pawn to an interesting spot. Among those, we can find numerous dungeons, 2 cities, Wizard's Tower, the mysterious Stonehenge, hometown of our hero, and the Valley of the Gods in the center. The overworld mode is turn-based. We can travel certain distance in each turn, and when we reach one of the dolmens on the map, we enter the real-time combat mode, which is meat and potatoes of this game, sprinkled with bacon, insignificant quantities. Before we start a fight, naturally we have to wait till it loads, sometimes even juggle a disc and then the fight starts. The game initiates real-time mode with an isometric-ish perspective and it really shows the might of Amiga. Our knight can swing the sword horizontally, stab, do an overhead attack, block and dodge. Doesn't sound like it's a lot, but honestly, I think it's the first game with a fighting system so complex. Depending on the monsters, there are even more moves. We can pierce the ratmen when they are on the ground, cut the mudmen's roots when they catch us, or stop the dragon in his huge jaw. Those moves are really cool, but we cannot do them anytime we choose to. They are context sensitive.
So, what does that mean?
It means context sensitive. It's sensitive to context.
Oh, right. We can also shamelessly throw daggers, but I almost never used it. Pretty pointless if you ask me. The horizontal slash is probably the most often used move as it is quick and easy to hit with and lets you split trogs in half and drown them in the pool of their own blood. It's an attack that can be deflected with the blocking move. The overhead attack is slower, deals massive damage and has better reach, but your sword will get stuck in the ground for a moment if you miss, so be careful. That's the type of attack that can be dodged. The forward thrust is quick and lets you keep the distance to your foes. Using it is greatest strategy for Throgs armed with spears. You do all the moves by tilting the joystick in some direction and pressing the fire button. That might not be the most convenient control scheme, but it's time of joysticks. What do you expect? After each of the fierce battles we get some experience points which we can then use at our hero's hometown to improve his stats in order to make him more deadly and durable. And what kind of RPG would this game be without loot? There are a few items we can get for leading our enemies to their demise. We can obviously get gold, a couple of swords, armors, health potions, rings which improve our stats, scrolls which enable us to cast spells, worm talismans, and last but not least the keys to the Valley of the Gods. The weapons and armors don't need any discussing since it's just best to have the best ones. The scrolls are a little bit more interesting, they kinda act like cards in a board game. There are 5 of them. Scroll of Haste, letting you cover twice as much distance as possible. Scroll of Acquisition, which lets you steal an item from other players. Scroll of the Hack, that allows you to teleport. Scroll of the Worm, that forces the dragon scouring the map to attack one of the foe knights. And Scroll of Protection, that enables you to avoid a duel. Almost each kind of scroll can be cursed, which makes them have an opposite effect, so be prepared when you use them. Or sell them. That involves no risk. There is another item worth mentioning among the magical ones, the Talisman of the Worm. It's handy to have a few of these since if you possess them, you take less damage from the dragon and their effects stack, but then again, you can sell these as well. Speaking of selling, you can sell your equipment and buy new stuff with the acquired gold in 2 towns on the map at the merchant or the temple. Besides, you can cure your wounds at the healer and gamble away your hard-earned coin at the tavern. No, for real, I doubt you can win. Besides the 2 towns, there's also the Wizard's Tower, the mighty Wizard of Meth. No, wait, it's Wizard Math. So anyway, the wizard can give you a magic item, some cash, raise your stats, or if you annoy him, turn you into a toad, which immobilizes you for a few turns. No biggie. Going back to the items. Last but not least, there are 4 magic keys that are indispensable to complete the game. They are scattered around monster lairs and you'll need each of them to access the central point of the board, the Valley of the Gods, where you shall fight the final boss, the Guardian, who by the way is a lady merged with a storm, kinda like a woman on her period. Never mind. Oh wait, I almost forgot, there is a background story to all of this. All of the fighting and rivalry of chivalry happens for a reason. The season of the Moonstones that happens once 1,000 years approaches. It's a time when gods decide to award a gift of ultimate power to whoever dares to prove themselves and complete the quests of Moonstones. As one of the knights racing to become the most powerful, you will have to put your life on the line, defeating monsters in 4 perilous parts of the world, gathering the best equipment possible to finally get all the keys to the Valley of the Gods. Defeat the Guardian Demon and receive the Moonstone, which can then be offered in the Stonehenge to Danu, the Moon God. All of the game is neatly garnished with a grim, mysterious and creepy atmosphere, and it shows everywhere, from the fighting scenes through a humble amount of music to loading screens. Of course, such an aura seems correct for the period of time that the game is supposed to be set in. These are early medieval times when at night it was so dark you wouldn't find your dick when you wanted to pee. Anyway, just watch this loading screen for a moment to sample the mood of the game. It genuinely gives me goosebumps. Maybe I'm too easily impressed. The gore in this game only helps to build the dreary flavor. There are multiple ways that the foes can cause your gruesome death. Black Knights can behead you, Ratmen can hang you, the Unilions or whatever they are called can impale you, Trolls can crush you, Dragon can scorch or chew you. Like literally, you can't tell if he swallows the knight after, but he chews him like gum. You can practically see he's enjoying the flavor and the texture. It looks like if he's going to blow a bloody bubble in a second. There are really a lot of ways our protagonist can kick the bucket in this game, but probably the scariest one is the insta-kill by a mudman. He raises his arms and collapses on you. You can't really tell what happens next. Maybe the warrior drowns in mud, but maybe not. Besides being killed by monsters, we can of course return the favor, although not in as spectacular ways, but it's fun beheading Black Knights, splitting Trogs in half or turning them into a bloody fountain. Graphically, the game shines. It could be called a work of art from 16-bit era. The sounds are pretty good, though creepy as hell, and it's a shame the music is rare in Moonstone. Overall, it's an awesome RPG board game that provides hell of an entertainment for a couple of hours, and even though it's short, the quest doesn't feel shallow but rather fills you with satisfaction after living an adventure. There are many elements of the game, but not enough to make it overly complicated, yet enough to be able to overlook something, especially if you didn't read the manual. I didn't test the game in multiplayer, but I'd imagine it's incredibly fun to decapitate your friends and send dragon each other's way. Moonstone: A Hard Day's Night is an awesome game. I loved the experience and I'd imagine anyone loving retro games would have a blast. If you find a game anywhere, get it, if only to frame it and put it on the wall. Or you can mail it to me so that I won't have to resort to emulation anymore. But remember, never put the discs near a magnet. Anyway, like the video, share, comment, send me games, suggest what should I review, and stay awesome.